What small disturbance in the familiar waters of your relationship could hint at an unseen flow? Friends, colleagues, fellow beings, we unite today to delve into a rather delicate and frequently painful matter: infidelity in partnerships. Specifically, we're examining the notion of one inquiry that uncovers a cheating woman. Before we proceed, I want to clarify that relationships are intricate structures woven with trust, communication, and mutual respect. Reducing the detection of unfaithfulness to a single question may appear oversimplified, and indeed, it carries many complexities. Nevertheless, the essence of this exploration is in recognizing how subtle inquiries can occasionally unearth hidden truths. Rather than hunting for a magical, fail-safe question, let's reflect on the essence of such an inquiry. What type of question could possibly unravel a tangled web of deceit? It certainly wouldn't be a straightforward accusation like, "Are you being unfaithful?" Such a question instantly triggers defensiveness and denial, independent of the reality. The strength lies in a question that gently probes discrepancies, one that highlights a departure from established behaviors. Think about it. Infidelity often demands alterations in routines, communication, and even emotional availability. Someone leading a double life may exhibit inexplicable absences, show excessive protectiveness over their phone, or demonstrate changes in their usual behavior patterns. Thus, the kind of question we seek is one that subtly illuminates these possible inconsistencies. For instance, if your partner suddenly starts working late multiple nights a week without a clear reason, a seemingly harmless question like, "How's that new project progressing tonight?" could unleash revelations. Notice, this question isn't accusatory. It's framed within something they may have already mentioned. However, the reply, or lack of it, the depth of detail shared, and any signs of discomfort or evasion can be extremely telling. If there is no new project, or if the details are vague and conflicting with prior conversations, it raises concerns. The effectiveness of such an inquiry is in its ability to catch someone off guard, assessing whether their narrative aligns with the truth. It's not about deception. It's about recognizing the natural response to what seems like a normal inquiry when there's something to conceal. Distinguished members of this vibrant assembly, we dive into the intricate and oftentimes sensitive realm of human connections, focusing on the first key point I mentioned earlier regarding the potential for spotting infidelity. Examine behavioral anomalies. This isn't about fostering suspicion or nurturing an environment of distrust. Rather, it's about refining our observational abilities, sharpening our intuition, and understanding the subtle signals of change within the established rhythm of a partnership. For a motivated audience like yourselves, individuals seeking deeper insight and healthier relationships, this discussion provides valuable perspectives into trust dynamics and the telltale signs that something might be off. Picture a long-term relationship as a well-rehearsed performance. Each partner knows their roles, the signals, the expected movements. There's a familiar rhythm to the interactions, a predictable flow throughout the shared days and weeks. This established pattern, crafted over time through shared experiences, communication, and mutual understanding, creates a baseline against which any notable deviation becomes perceptible. It's in these variations, these shifts from the familiar choreography, where potential truths, uncomfortable as they may be, can sometimes surface. Infidelity, by its nature, typically requires a departure from this established norm. It introduces a secretive element, a hidden narrative that inevitably seeps into the existing dynamic. This intrusion may appear in various forms, subtle at first, but potentially becoming more pronounced over time. Our focus here is on identifying and interpreting these behavioral inconsistencies, not as definitive proof, but as potential signals for further attention and open discussion. Examine the area of communication. In a healthy partnership, there's usually a specific frequency and style of interaction. There might be daily check-ins, shared humor throughout the day, or detailed accounts of each person's experiences. If this communication suddenly diminishes, becomes more vague, or exhibits a newfound defensiveness when discussing their day, it may indicate a change. It's not about demanding constant updates, but about recognizing a significant departure from the usual sharing pattern. What accounts for the sudden hesitance to talk about their day? What captures their time that they're hesitant or incapable of articulating? Additionally, observe established routines and habits. Perhaps you and your partner have traditionally spent weekends together, enjoying particular activities or merely basking in each other's company. If, without a clear and consistent explanation, these weekend engagements start to shift, become less frequent, or encounter vague excuses, it's certainly a behavioral inconsistency worthy of attention. This doesn't automatically scream infidelity, but it stimulates inquiry. What has disrupted this established pattern? What new obligations or priorities have suddenly arisen? Another vital aspect is emotional availability. In a trusting relationship, partners provide each other emotional support, share vulnerabilities, and create a safe space for one another's feelings. If a partner who was once emotionally present and engaged suddenly becomes distant, withdrawn, or less compassionate, this can signify a notable behavioral shift. Why the abrupt emotional unavailability? What inner conflicts or external factors might be causing this change? While this could stem from various personal issues unrelated to infidelity, it's a change worthy of attention and open conversation. Consider also the seemingly small things, the subtleties of daily life. Has there been an abrupt and unexplained change in their appearance? Are they suddenly more concerned with how they dress or groom themselves, particularly when going out alone? Have their spending habits visibly altered, including unaccounted expenses? Are they excessively protective of their phone or laptop, devices that were previously more freely shared? These seemingly minor shifts in behavior, when viewed in the context of the overall relationship dynamic, can help paint a broader picture of potential inconsistencies. The key here is not to become an overly watchful detective, analyzing every movement and misconstruing innocent changes. It's about nurturing a mindful awareness of the normal patterns in your relationship and observing significant deviations that lack clear and consistent justifications. It's about trusting your intuition, that inner guide that often senses subtle alterations in energy and behavior. However, it's crucial to emphasize that behavioral inconsistencies alone are not definitive proof of infidelity. There can be multiple reasons for changes in behavior, ranging from work stress and personal challenges to health issues and shifting interests. Leaping to conclusions based solely on these observations can be damaging to the relationship and undermine trust. The influence of focusing on behavioral inconsistencies is in its capacity to encourage further inquiry and open communication. When you detect a considerable change in your partner's behavior that feels out of sync with the established norm, it presents a valid entry point for dialogue. Instead of launching accusations, you can articulate your observations and concerns in a non-confrontational manner. For instance, you might say, "I've noticed that you haven't mentioned much about your workday lately. Is everything okay?" Or, "We haven't been spending our usual Saturday mornings together recently. Is there something else on your mind?" These types of inquiries, rooted in observed behavioral shifts, open the door for conversation without putting your partner on the defensive. Their response, both verbal and nonverbal, can offer additional insights, a genuine rationale that aligns with other aspects of their behavior, and your understanding of their life is reassuring. Yet, evasiveness, defensiveness, or inconsistent explanations may raise further worries. Ultimately, concentrating on behavioral inconsistencies revolves around attuning yourself to the unique rhythm of your partnership. It's about recognizing when the melody alters, when the steps diverge from the familiar routine. It's not about fostering suspicion, but rather about mindful observation and a willingness to engage in open and honest discourse when those deviations appear. For an engaged audience seeking deeper, more authentic connections, grasping this subtle language of change can be an empowering tool in navigating the complexities of trust and intimacy. It urges us to remain present, to connect with our partners, and to proactively address potential issues, fostering a relationship rooted in genuine understanding and open conversation, rather than reactive accusations based on unfounded assumptions. This mindful awareness, this sensitivity to established norms and significant shifts away from them, is vital for preserving a healthy and trusting partnership. Esteemed individuals, driven souls eager for deeper comprehension and mastery in your relationships, let us now pivot to the second essential key point in our discovery of discerning truth within the intricate dance of partnership. Shun accusatory language. This principle transcends mere politeness. It delves into the very psychology of human interaction, particularly when navigating sensitive and potentially volatile matters such as suspected infidelity. For a motivated audience like yourselves, individuals committed to effective communication and fostering genuine connections, grasping the significant impact of accusatory language is critical for achieving clarity and safeguarding the integrity of your relationships, regardless of the underlying reality. Visualize approaching a delicate and complex mechanism. Would you handle it with brute force and aggressive manipulation, or would you employ careful, precise movements, knowing that any harsh action could damage its delicate components? Similarly, when dealing with the sensitive topic of potential infidelity, the language we utilize becomes our most valuable tool. Accusatory language, heavy with blame, judgment, and preconceived notions, acts like that brute force, instantly triggering defensiveness, halting communication, and clouding the very truth we seek to uncover. The human psyche is wired to shield itself when under attack. When faced with an accusation, even if there's a grain of truth within it, the immediate reaction is often one of self-preservation. Walls rise, defenses are fortified, and the focus shifts from honest reflection to counteracting the sensed threat. In this emotionally charged environment, the likelihood of drawing out a truthful and open response diminishes significantly. Instead, you're more likely to encounter denial, deflection, counter-accusations, and an entrenchment of resolve, irrespective of guilt or innocence. Consider how a statement like, "You're clearly cheating on me. Where were you last night?" forces the other person into a corner, compelling them to respond defensively. Even if they were indeed somewhere they shouldn't have been, their focus now shifts to shielding themselves from your anger and judgment, rather than providing an honest explanation. The opportunity for a meaningful conversation, for understanding the underlying emotions and reasons, is lost. Accusatory language often originates from our own feelings of hurt, insecurity, and betrayal. These emotions are entirely valid and should be acknowledged. However, allowing these raw emotions to dictate our style of communication can undermine the desired outcome, grasping the truth and making informed decisions about the relationship's future. It's about directing those strong emotions into a more constructive and strategic pathway. Rather than making accusatory declarations, consider framing your concerns through observations and expressions of your feelings. Instead of saying, "You're always on your phone, who are you messaging?" Try something like, "I've noticed you've been on your phone a lot lately, and it makes me feel somewhat disconnected. Is everything all right?" This approach centers on your personal experiences and observations, inviting your partner to respond without feeling immediately attacked. It opens a space for dialogue instead of igniting a defensive reaction. The subtle shift in language can make a vast difference. Accusatory language presumes guilt, while observational terminology invites explanation. One closes doors, the other opens them. For a motivated audience aspiring for effective communication, comprehending this distinction is crucial. It necessitates conscious effort to manage our emotions and select words that foster comprehension rather than incite conflict. Furthermore, accusatory language can erode the foundation of trust essential for any robust relationship. Even if your suspicions are ultimately unfounded, the act of accusing your partner can leave lasting marks. It can create an atmosphere of fear and resentment, complicating efforts to rebuild trust later. Choosing a more empathetic and non-judgmental approach reflects respect for your partner and for the relationship itself, increasing the potential for a positive outcome, no matter the truth. Consider your long-term communication goals. Is your primary aim to express your anger and assign blame, or is it to uncover the truth and make informed decisions about your relationship's future? If you prioritize the latter, then steering clear of accusatory language is not merely a courtesy, it's a strategic necessity. It fosters an environment where your partner feels secure enough to be honest, even if the truth is hard to hear. It's also significant to recognize that accusatory language can be a form of projection, emanating from our own uncertainties or past experiences. Before pointing fingers, engaging in self-reflection can pay dividends. Are your accusations based on solid evidence, or are they propelled by fear and doubt? Addressing your internal state can pave the way for a clearer, less emotionally reactive approach. For a driven audience dedicated to personal development and richer relationships, mastering the craft of non-accusatory communication is a valuable asset. It requires patience, empathy, and a conscious effort to choose words that build bridges rather than walls. It's about navigating sensitive discussions with a sincere desire to understand, rather than a need to be right or to allocate blame. In summary, while the urge to uncover the truth regarding potential infidelity is understandable, resorting to accusatory language often proves counterproductive. It incites defensiveness, hampers open communication, damages trust, and obscures the vital information you seek. By deliberately selecting a more observational, empathetic, and non-judgmental approach, you create a safer environment for honest conversation, improving the likelihood of uncovering the truth and making intelligent determinations about your relationship's future. Committing to avoid accusatory language signifies not weakness, but emotional intelligence and a strategic method for navigating the intricacies of human connection. It reflects a profound understanding that genuine clarity and resolution are more apt to develop from a place of open communication and mutual respect, rather than one driven by blame and accusation. Distinguished individuals, driven spirits aiming for mastery in the complex art of human connection, let's now shift our focus to the third and equally crucial key point in our effort to discern truth within the nuanced balance of relationships. Recognize the context of the relationship. This principle underscores the stark reality that there isn't a universal litmus test, no singular magic inquiry that can definitively uncover infidelity. Instead, the opportunity for revealing deceit arises from comprehending the distinctive fabric of each individual relationship, its specific dynamics, established routines, and subtle nuances of its communication patterns. For those of you deeply committed to insightful comprehension and navigating the intricacies of intimacy with wisdom, emphasizing context is vital for cultivating a discerning eye and encouraging communication rooted in genuine understanding rather than generalized assumptions. Think of each partnership as a distinct ecosystem, complete with its own climate, flora and fauna, and intricate web of interactions. What may represent a major anomaly in one ecosystem could be entirely typical in another. Likewise, a question that could divulge a discrepancy in one relationship may be completely irrelevant or even misleading in another. To effectively discern truth, we must immerse ourselves in the particular context of the relationship at hand, recognizing its history, established norms, and the subtle language that directs its interactions. Take, for example, a partner who is spending more time outside of the home. In a relationship where both individuals have consistently maintained independent social circles and pursued separate hobbies, this might be entirely trivial. However, in a relationship where shared time and mutual activities have always been foundational, a sudden and unexplained increase in time spent away could indicate a disturbance worthy of attention. The same behavior, when viewed through the lens of varying relationship contexts, carries significantly different implications. Furthermore, communication styles fluctuate widely among couples. Some partners engage in frequent updates throughout the day, sharing even the smallest details of their undertakings. In such couples, a sudden shift towards vagueness or a reluctance to disclose details could be a significant break from the norm. Nonetheless, other couples may adopt a more independent communication style, where infrequent check-ins are entirely normal. In this context, regarding a lack of updates as suspicious would misapply a generalized assumption and overlook the established communication style of that specific relationship. Consequently, the right question is not a universally applicable formula, but rather a carefully formulated inquiry that emerges from a profound understanding of the relationship's unique context. It's a question that prompts a recent unexplained change within that specific context, exploring a deviation from the established norms and routines that define that partnership. It's about recognizing when the relationship's music suddenly changes tempo or key, and then posing an inquiry that gently investigates the reason for that alteration within the established harmony. For instance, if a couple typically shares their weekend plans openly at the beginning of the week, a sudden reluctance or evasion when inquiring about weekend plans would constitute a notable inconsistency within that particular context. A pertinent question might be, "We normally discuss our weekend plans on Monday. Is there something specific you have in mind for this weekend?" This inquiry is not confrontational. It subtly probes an established routine shift. The reply, or the lack thereof, along with accompanying nonverbal cues, can be revealing within the context of their usual communication. Conversely, asking this same question in a partnership where weekend plans are usually made spontaneously and discussed nearer to the time would likely yield little relevant information and might even generate unnecessary suspicion. Although appearing innocuous, the question would be out of context and fail to target any genuine variation from the norm. Understanding the context also includes being sensitive to the distinct personalities and communication styles of your partner. Some people are naturally more private than others. What might come across as secrecy to one person could simply be their partner's usual manner of behavior. Therefore, it is crucial to differentiate between ingrained personality traits and real behavioral alterations. The correct question will target changes that are authentically out of character and inconsistent with the established dynamic of the relationship. Moreover, the context of a relationship encompasses any recent significant life events or changes that could reasonably affect behavior. Heightened stress at work, familial concerns, or health challenges can all lead to shifts in mood, communication patterns, and routines. It's beneficial to consider these external influences before ascribing every change to potential infidelity. An inquiry that disregards these contextual elements could lead to misinterpretations and unnecessary suspicions. For a motivated audience seeking insightful understanding, emphasizing context demands a keen level of observation, empathy, and a genuine commitment to understanding your partner's world. It's about moving beyond generalized assumptions and truly seeing your relationship for the unique entity that it is. It requires attentiveness to subtle cues, unspoken agreements, and the established rhythms that define your bond. The strength of considering context lies in its ability to make your inquiries more precise and, consequently, more likely to yield meaningful information. Instead of casting a wide net with ambiguous accusations, you are directing your focus towards specific deviations within the established framework of your partnership. This approach is more considerate, less likely to provoke defensiveness, and ultimately more efficient in uncovering the truth. In conclusion, the third key focus, recognize the context of the relationship, emphasizes the essential nature of understanding the unique dynamics, established patterns, and communication styles of your specific partnership when striving to discern clarity. No one-size-fits-all inquiry exists to universally expose infidelity. Rather, the inquiries that hold the greatest potential for revelation are those that stem from a deep comprehension of the relationship's specific context, directing attention to recent unexplained changes that deviate from established norms. By centering on context, we transcend generalized assumptions and engage in more targeted, respectful, and ultimately more effective communication, promoting a deeper understanding of our partners and the intricate fabric of our relationships. This nuanced approach, grounded in the particular realities of the relationship, is crucial for navigating the complexities of trust and intimacy with wisdom and discernment. Finally, our exploration into the possibility of one inquiry that uncovers a cheating woman illustrates that such a singular, universally applicable question is more mythical than factual. Instead, the route to discerning truth resides in a more nuanced method, one that highlights keen observation of behavioral anomalies, the strategic refraining from accusatory language, and a profound consideration of the unique context of the relationship. By illuminating deviations from established norms, communicating empathetically and without blame, and understanding the specific dynamics of your relationship, you equip yourselves with the tools to promote open dialogue and navigate the intricacies of trust. Ultimately, while a carefully considered question can serve as a starting point, true comprehension and a solid foundation of communication remain the most dependable safeguards in any partnership. Thank you for your thoughtful participation in this delicate discussion. Your readiness to engage with these complexities with an open heart is commendable. May this conversation empower you to foster deeper understanding and more robust connections within your relationships.